Pretty Little Liars. I wanted to break it down, what I thought of it, what I thought of the characters, like a purplish, darkish feel. The first time you find out that A was probably the most shocking and devastating. Is she the ultimate A? I am so excited to come on here today because this is going to be a little bit of a different topic than I usually talk about, or just straying away from my weekly vlogs, because I just finished Pretty Little Liars for the first time as a 27-year-old woman. I remember Pretty Little Liars playing on, maybe it was cable TV, and seeing bits and pieces of it, but I never watched it all the way through, and it honestly was so good. Just to preface, early 2000s and 90s TV shows are my favorite. When I watch a TV show I really like, I like to go see what everyone else is thinking about it, what their thoughts are on like the twists and the turns and character development. I think acting and directing is so interesting. It's such a cool career path. I don't think I would ever do acting or directing, but I just love watching the breakdown of it, how the actors got to where they are. So another thing I'll do after I watch a TV show is go watch cast interviews and things like that, just to see the chemistry of the cast offset and just see how they get along, because it's always interesting, just the breakdown of everything. Essentially, these humans are playing other humans in a storyline that is fiction. Pretty Little Liars. I wanted to break it down, what I thought of it, what I thought of the characters, the storyline. Something interesting that I saw online last night is that Pretty Little Liars was filmed on the same set as Gilmore Girls. I would have to fact check that. I don't know if that's for sure, but if that is so cool, because I absolutely love Gilmore Girls. Gilmore Girls is a show that I've watched probably 8 times over, and it would be such a fun video to do on Gilmore Girls the next time I watch it through. It's my all-time favorite show. It was super cool to see that they were filmed on the same set. If you have not seen Gilmore Girls, the words that I would use to describe it are cozy, nostalgic, warm, perfect for PJs, a day like today where it's gloomy outside. Gilmore Girls would be a show I would turn on if I was sad and just wanted some comfort. I would love to do a video like this on Gilmore Girls, but we're gonna get into Pretty Little Liars. Pretty Little Liars is a show I have heard of, but I've never been intrigued enough to watch, and I've been a show rewatcher. I don't know if any of you are show rewatchers. I love me a good rewatch, especially if it makes me feel certain ways in my body. But lately, the last year of my life, I have been straying away from rewatching and just getting curious again about what's out there. And Vampire Diaries is actually a show I watched for the first time last year, and oh my gosh, I will be rewatching that one again. If I rewatch a show, that means I really like it. I think I would watch Pretty Little Liars again. I just am not sure because it's a mystery. So mysteries are a little bit different because I already know the answers to the storyline, which is why it's sad that it's ended. 3 major key points of Pretty Little Liars was who was stalking them essentially and torturing them and making their lives miserable. That would be one reason I wouldn't rewatch it, is just because it is a mystery. There are clues, but it would also be a fun one to rewatch because I could go back and see if anything spoke to me that didn't before. That would help contribute to finding better answers when it comes to the overall 3 pinpoints in time that I mentioned earlier of finding out who the person was that was stalking and making their lives not so fun. Pretty Little Liars to me had like a purplish, darkish feel. Their friendship was really fun to watch unfold. The 4 friends, Arya, Spencer, Hannah, and Emily. Super fun to watch that unfold. And then Allison is kind of like this back character that comes in later on. She's pinned as this dark energy in the group for multiple seasons on end. When Allison came back in, I didn't know how I felt. I was like, I don't know. And they would have moments of not trusting her when she comes back into the show. I was in agreement with that. Like, why are you guys trusting her? She didn't know how to tell the truth. She lies. She skews the story a lot. And the four of them had a really good bond together. The four of them had always shown up, had always been there for each other, had been a really tight-knit group with each other, and had created this bond and trust with each other. It was hard to see Allison come back in and start to become a part of the group again, even though she had done so many things that would lead me to not trust her as a friend, to be quite honest. And then there's the ships, right? They're called ships. I would say my favorite relationship was either Hannah and Caleb or Ezra and Arya, and I would probably place Ezra and Arya above Hannah and Caleb, even though Hannah and Caleb had just this undeniable friendship outside of their relationship that was just so fun to watch. But Ezra and Arya had this love story where you could not keep them away from each other, and it's so cool how the series started with them and ended with them. They are in the first episode, I'm pretty sure, and then they get married in the last episode. It was fun to see that full circle moment. And then Spencer and Toby were fun to watch in moments, but their relationship also didn't make sense to me in moments. It felt forced at times, I would say. And then Hannah and Allison ending up together, I did not see that coming. Emily was always jumping around to different relationships and they all had their time and place, but I for sure did not see her ending up with Allison or Allison having her babies. Oh my goodness. That part of the storyline honestly felt very messed up to me. It's hard to comprehend and hard to watch. When Allison was getting tortured by her so-called husband in Radley, it was so painful to watch and almost a little bit traumatizing. And then the fact that she had her literal privacy and body taken from her and was injected with Emily's eggs. It was not very pleasant to watch them find out or just even hear. I would say as the seasons went on, it just kind of got more gruesome. There were moments that was like, how has the intensity reached this level? But it also keeps you there. Seeing some people complain online about how A and AD were three different people, and it's like, I completely understand it needing to be three different people because at a certain point you want answers. The first time you find out that A was Mona was probably the most shocking and devastating. And at first I thought it was Toby because they do that little reveal and he was in the black jacket and he was working with Mona at Radley, but she wasn't revealed as A until later on. I do think that Mona was the most like bam moment. I cannot believe she's A. And then Charlotte was A. And then Spencer's twin was AD. We only find out about that in the last episode, and I do think that that storyline needed a little bit more time to marinate because it's like, whoa, she has a twin and we're getting all this backlog. But that's a reason that I would like to go watch it back because it's like, when could we have seen moments of Spencer, almost the personality maybe defaults in the moments that the twins slipped up? Would be cool to see if they added any of that in there. To my brain, it almost didn't make sense because it happened so fast at the end. And then all of the like family twists and turns, Jason being Spencer's dad's kid, Spencer being Allison's mom's sister's daughter, if that makes sense to anyone. The more you find out, the more it doesn't make sense. I know they were trying to stretch the story, and I think they did a great job at doing that. There was just so many unexpected little flips, turns, twists. As a viewer, I'm just like, should that have even been a thing? But I get it. It adds depth to the story, and no matter how weird it makes me feel, it makes for a good story. I can't remember if the series switch up really happened at season 6 or the beginning of season 7, but when they come back years later, they've graduated college, they're all in different places in their lives, and they're split from their partners. That was such an interesting route to take, and it honestly pulled me in more because the first 5 seasons were the core and the gem of the show, and then I feel like the last 2 seasons were this add-on, but I really liked them. I liked how they pulled everyone apart and brought everyone back together. I feel like the one couple coming back together that didn't make sense to me was Spencer and Toby. It felt like it was supposed to be the end for them. The whole Nicole, Ezra, and Arya thing was just jerking me around. I've always wanted them together. Even when she said that after high school she was gonna need a break, I was like, that's so sad. That's heartbreaking. And then Caleb and Hannah, I did not expect them to be apart, and I did not expect Spencer and Caleb to really get together. I saw the tension brewing and I was like, wait, I don't know. I don't like this. Especially because I really just felt like him and Hannah were supposed to be together, and that just, them getting together was not fair in the real world, in a friendship circumstance. To go for your friend's first love, like, no. That's just a no-go, and it's gonna cause tension no matter what. I don't feel like Spencer had room to be mad. She should have never gone for Caleb, in my opinion. It's so fun breaking down the series without the screen because it almost feels like a book, and I know there are books that would be really fun to read as well. When I read a book and the movie is different, or I see the series and the book feels different, I feel like sometimes it's better to just read one and not see the movie, or see the series and not read the book. Sometimes it's hard when things get made into movies or series, even though I'm reading Fourth Wing right now and I would love to see it get made into a movie, but they would have to do it right. All in all, the series was really good. You can tell with a 2000 show that they're just starting to touch on things that wouldn't necessarily be accepted in the world that we're in now. Maybe like Arya dating her teacher, or female on female relationships. You can just tell that it was filmed 10 years ago. I don't know how long ago it was filmed. I want to say it was filmed 10 years ago. Around 10 years ago. I think that TV shows in the 2000s remind us how far we've come. It's really cool. I obviously probably have so many more thoughts, but that's just where it's naturally ending. Let me know if you've watched Pretty Little Liars and let's converse about it in the comments. It really was a fun show for me to watch, and I was sad for it to be over. Genuinely, it's always so much fun watching something for the first time, and I feel like TV now is really good. Ethan and I just watched Running Point with Kate Hudson, and she is so iconic. How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days was played hundreds of times at my house growing up. Me and my sister loved How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days. So seeing her in a newer series is so cool. I love seeing that she hasn't done too much to her face. If anything, I don't really know, but you just see celebrities trying to keep up with their age with all of the Botox and plastic surgery, and it's so cool to see her just still having her natural face. She's a very cool human. I just followed her on TikTok. If you are in need of a new show, it was 1 season, but it just got renewed for 2, which I'm really excited about. It's funny, it's witty, and it's about female boss energy. But what I was gonna say is nothing really compares to these 2000s TV shows. Like, there is just something that feels so good about them. It feels like my era that I really like to explore. I just wanted to deep dive into the Pretty Little Liars and kind of deconstruct it and my point of view and my thoughts on it. The one thing I did not understand was the ending. where Mona had Spencer's twin and Mary Drake, so Alex Drake and Mary Drake, in the window of the dollhouse, and then she had the dollhouse and she was pouring them tea. Like, is she, something I was reading online last night, is she the ultimate A? She was always wanting to win the game, be in charge of the game, and someone was always overpowering her. So I feel like that was almost symbolic to the fact that she is A at the end of all days. It's sad for her and sad for me, maybe happy for her, but I always wanted Mona to win. I always wanted Mona to earn the trust back, be a part of the group, and I just wanted her to be a good human at the end of it, but she was still playing her games. Thank you for listening. Let's chat about it. I'll do a breakdown of the next show I watch maybe. This was really fun for me, especially because it's sad when a show ends. So